Friends, welcome back to the show. I wanted to take a few moments and speak no script, and we'll see where it goes. I just wanted to give a sincere thank you to each and every one of you that listens to the show. I know you could be using that time to do anything else, and I'm very conscious and protective of that time. And I'm always looking for ways to add more value through things like production, as well as through myself as a podcast host. And I'm at the point where I feel like I'm just getting started. I promise to continue to work each and every week to add more value and get you guys more return on that time. And my only ask is that you take a moment to go ahead and hit the follow or subscribe button that's right here on this app. It helps tremendously in allowing more people to find the show. And in turn, that allows me to get the guests that you guys want me to speak to. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Chase Merrill podcast. All right, welcome back to my second ever solo episode. Now, this one is because we hit 1,000 subscribers. I am truly just so grateful for everybody who's listened to this show, whether it be just one episode or continually tunes in. I couldn't be more grateful. It's so much fun and it's so exciting to see where this is going to go. So we're going to do a 1,000 subscriber Q&A episode. I asked for questions. I got some questions. And again, I just screenshotted all those off of Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and wherever I got them. And I threw them into Grok. I used Grok this time. And I just said, throw these into a list and make a good flow for the solo episode. So I haven't really looked over the questions at all. Obviously, I saw a couple when I was screenshotting it. But we'll just go ahead and dive in. What is your favorite fruit and what is your favorite meat? So my favorite fruit, I have been just eating a ton of the golden kiwis and then the regular green kiwis. Super rich in the micronutrient profile and then also delicious. So what I do is I just take it, skin on, wash it, and then I just chop the ends off of both sides. And then I literally just eat it skin on, kind of like an apple at that point, and I just devoured the whole thing. Delicious. So that's definitely favorite fruit, along with probably blackberries, kiwis and blackberries. And then favorite meat, just beef. I mean, we can go into the different cuts, but probably just beef is my favorite. Definitely over like white meats, definitely over like chicken and turkey. I know lamb is great in terms of like it's a good source and quality of meat, but I just don't like the taste, not nearly as much, especially ground lamb. It's rough. So definitely beef there. Go-to pre-workout snack. So my go-to pre-work snack lately has been a kiwi. So I'll have a kiwi and then I have a scoop of honey. So I've got some big tubs of honey, thanks to a friend who brought out 32 pounds of honey when they came out to stay with us for a week. And we've been smashing through that honey. So I'll take a big scoop of honey, sprinkle some Redmond's real salt on top of that and a kiwi, and then I'll go hit my workout. But I've been doing my morning sessions fasted, so I usually just have some water and some salt and then go hit that. But if it's an afternoon session, usually a kiwi and some honey. What is the weirdest food combo you've ever tried in the name of health and fitness? So I don't think it's weird, and it's been getting a lot of traction, but seriously, just some ground beef and fruit and honey and maple syrup is phenomenal. So what you'll do is like you'll cook up your ground beef, and then I transfer that to a bowl, and then in the leftover fat that's in the bowl or in the pan, I'll chop up a banana, and I'll just throw that, saute the bananas in the leftover fat. And then once those are nice and golden and delicious and caramelized, I'll throw the beef back in, mix that up a little bit, and then throw that all into a bowl and then throw some maple syrup or some honey over the top. Delicious, phenomenal combo. And I know I'm going to get hate for it, but it's so good. If you could have any superpower to make your life better, what would it be? I think the best superpower, like the most overpowered superpower, would be the ability to control time. Like, enough said. Like with the ability to control time, you could basically teleport because you'd pause time for everybody else, and then just walk or travel wherever you needed to go and then start it, and you'd be teleporting around. You could go back, you could go forward. It would definitely be the most overpowered superpower, but I don't know if I'd want it. Like, if I had the ability to control time, it would just it would make a lot of stuff meaningless. Like, you could just go forward and see how things are going to go play out, and then go back and fix things, and then go back and forth, and it would just kind of not be the best situation. Plus, I don't know how it would work with like longevity for yourself. Like, does that mean you can live forever? It's too much. So probably just the ability to teleport would be huge. Just like jump and teleport anywhere you want to go would be super nice. I hate traffic, and Denver traffic is abysmal at all times. There's never any breaks. If I want to go anywhere, it's a minimum of 30 minutes, even if it's like 4 miles away. So yeah, the ability to teleport would be huge. If you could only take one supplement, what would it be? So creatine is huge, but you can get creatine from just eating like skeletal meats, and I eat a lot of meat, so I probably would get sufficient creatine that way. So, and then I could get my fish oil, could get my omega-3s from fish if I wanted to eat that. So I guess it'd probably have to be just like a multivitamin, just like a general cover all my micronutrient basis. That way I don't have to worry about getting as diverse a selection of foods to hit that. So just a general, probably multivitamin, a quality one would be good if I could only take one. What is one health and fitness habit you've stuck with the longest, and how has it impacted your life? Probably sleep, like prioritizing my sleep. I have been super aware and super conscious of making my sleep the best that it can be, super quality, for a really long time, since I was in high school. I always knew I suffered from worse night's sleep than other people. Like, I could, like, my friends, like, they'd stay up late and then they'd get up early and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm tired," and then they'd be fine. And if I got like less than 8 hours, I was like destroyed, and I couldn't just function and pull myself out of that. So really just prioritizing my sleep has been something that I'll do even if I'm training, if I'm not training, no matter what I'm doing. I'm always conscious of making sure I get enough sleep because I know how much it affects the rest of my day to day. So that's something I plan on sticking to forever, and I think everybody should prioritize their sleep. What is the most underrated exercise or health practice you wish people knew more about? Sleep, just to keep that rolling. Seriously, if the benefits of sleep could be bottled and pilled, it would be a banned substance. It is by far the best for cognitive functions, for memory, for physical functions, for agility, balance, reaction time, everything. Sleep plays just a huge factor on. So if you can improve and prioritize your sleep, do that. Like, it's up there. Like, exercise, nutrition, sleep, they're all just as important. If you're sleeping 4 hours a night so you can get up and hit the gym, you're stepping over $100 bills to pick up pennies. You got to prioritize that. How do you stay motivated to maintain a fitness routine during busy or stressful times? I definitely don't stay motivated. This week has been kind of one that I haven't been motivated. I've just been kind of dragging and forcing myself to get into every single session. So I definitely do not stay motivated all the time, but that's natural. Nobody does. So you have to have the ability to do these things even when you're not motivated. Discipline is so important because motivation is so fleeting, and it is so just fickle. You can't rely on it. So how do I maintain my fitness routine during busy or stressful times, even if I'm not motivated? Time management. So I know if I don't do the hardest thing or the most important thing first, and I'm just like, oh, I can get to it later, life comes up, things come up. I get busy, work goes longer than I expected. Traffic is more, I got to eat, other things pop up, and I'm not always able to do it. So, really prioritizing that morning to get the one thing that needs to happen or the one thing that's going to be the most difficult to happen, whether that be, you know, my weightlifting session or a long cardio session, whatever that one is just prioritizing the hardest thing first, because I know that life is going to get in the way and I can't control it once my morning's over. So really just prioritizing and controlling that morning is huge for getting the things that you want done. We've got, how do you balance intense workouts with recovery to avoid burnout or injury? Yeah, that's a learned skill. I've been doing fitness for a very long time, years and years and years. You've got to have the discipline to go easy. Now, a lot of people, and when they come in and they're like, oh no, like when they come into fitness, is particularly like these aerobic sports, you really benefit from long zone 2 sessions where they don't feel physically intense or physically demanding on the body. And you need to have the discipline to trust the process and trust that you're getting the benefits there. Because if you just come in and you're always bringing this intensity and always going all out, you're going to burn out, you're going to get hurt, and you're just not going to be able to maintain. So have the discipline to treat recovery and to treat easy days as part of your training, because they're just as important. Those are the days when your body recovers and rebuilds and starts to reap the benefits that you got from all the hard work. So you need to be able to balance and just have the self-control to actually look at it and be like, hey, this is part of my training. I'm not slacking off. I'm not, you know, taking it easy. Like, this is a vital part. And if you come in, and if I look at you, if there's somebody who comes in and is like, no days off, hitting it all the time, I look at that, I'm like, you lack self-control, you lack discipline. I don't think, oh wow, look how tough they are, because I know that they are not getting the benefits. So have the self-control, have the self-awareness, and treat them like the quality and important session that they are. What are your thoughts on the science of longevity? Any supplements, practices, or technologies you're excited about? I am not a specialist in the field of longevity. It's not something that I study a ton. I've had some cool guests on that do talk about longevity. Like Dr. K, she was on a couple episodes back. She's awesome. She had a lot of tips there. So if you want to learn more, go listen to that episode. But something that I'm doing, a lot is I got the sauna 2 days ago, Friday, and that's something that I've really wanted. The science behind sauna is huge. Like, I think, four times a week at a minimum of 20 minutes has been shown to reduce all-cause mortality by 40%. So a sauna is something that is fantastic for everybody, because it also mimics, cardiovascular training. Like, your heart rate elevates and you're getting those benefits. So whether you're, active into fitness, or if you are older, or if you don't take, if you're not training super hard for something, but you just want to have a higher quality of life and be around longer, Asana is a great investment. This one is from Heavenly Heat. It's awesome. I had a great experience ordering it. Once it got delivered, building it was fantastic. It doesn't use any glues or dyes or EMF or anything that would off gas. It's a great thing, a great product, and it gets very hot. I struggle to stay in there for 15 minutes, and it's not even at its highest temperature at that point. It gets ripping. What's one thing you've changed in your lifestyle to prioritize living a longer, healthier life? Yeah, for me, that's cardio. I've always been a strength and anaerobic based athlete, a sprinter, a lifter, Olympic lifter. I've always excelled at those fast twitch, quick, explosive movements. And I've never enjoyed longer aerobic pieces. I've never enjoyed running. And I've really kind of started to shift I still enjoy lifting heavy. I still want to maintain my muscle mass, but I want to enjoy and I want to be aerobically fit. I want to be able to go on these long runs. I want to have a high VO2 and a low resting heart rate. So I've really been prioritizing that. So I'll do long bikes, long runs, long swims, and I'll get in the sauna, all these things to help improve my cardiovascular fitness. And doing that in a non-competitive space. I know I'm training for an Ironman right now, but it's not competitive because I have no expectations. I don't care. I just want to go have fun. And so doing those things in a non-competitive space, like, hey, I'll run when I want. I'll run when I want to run. I'll run as fast as I want to run. I maybe won't push the intensity and I'll diet back there. Like that was huge when I started getting into it because I historically do not enjoy running. So the ability to come into it with a sense of, hey, just, find your flow. Like it doesn't matter. Like go on the treadmill, go outside, do whatever you want to do, and just change your identity as a runner has allowed me to enjoy running, to enjoy aerobic training, and thus do it better, do it more frequently, and get a lot of enjoyment. So now I do aerobic training pretty much every single day. Zone 2 a lot. I'll push track sessions, and I'm getting a lot faster and seeing those improvements and getting faster, thus, you know, makes me want to do it more, makes me want to train more, and thus get more benefits. And so it's a fun little cycle that I've been enjoying. And it's a huge indicator for longevity and quality of life. How do you incorporate stress management into your daily life to promote long-term health? Yeah, stress is huge. So you don't want no stress. It's like you want controlled and enough, not too much stress, because weightlifting stress, running, training stress, sauna, that's all stress, and stress leads to adaptation, and adaptation leads to improvement. If you have too much stress, if it's just stress all the time, you fizzle out and you burn and you suffer, and nobody gets any better. So you want controlled amounts of stress. So one thing is doing physical training, hard things like the sauna and training. Those increase my stress tolerance and makes other things not seem as stressful and not feel as stressful, so my body doesn't perceive them nearly as hard. And then other things is I've been doing meditating recently, so I started using the Sam Harris what is it, wakeful app. I'm blanking on the app. I'll link it somewhere, but it's the Sam Harris app, and I've been doing that for like 30 days in a row now. And I've noticed huge changes. I actually look forward to the meditation most times. Sometimes I'm like, I don't really want to do this right now, but I still do it because once I kind of can calm my brain down, it's actually really enjoyable. And I've tried meditation in the past and it never really clicked for me. I used to use the meditations app. I think that's what it was called. But this Sam Harris app has been great. I've done, I think I'm up to like 8 hours over the past 30 days of meditation, which is huge for me. And it's been great. You just feel so much more calm. You feel so much more control. And there's glimpses. So like I have sessions where I'm just like, I can't get into it. And it's just, in and out. And I'm just kind of letting my thoughts are wandering and I try and control them and I try to, observe them. But then there's glimpses. So like I'll have one session for like a couple minutes where I like get into the groove and it's like, whoa. And you can see the benefits and you can see why people would meditate and why it might be so appealing. And so getting those glimpses has been huge because I've never gotten those before. So I want to work towards where I can get into that state easier and really just enjoy it. Do you believe in the idea of biohacking for longevity? And if so, what's your favorite hack? Yeah, biohacking has been, this is another thing Dr. K and I talked about. Um, Biohacking has become so common in the zeitgeist. It's such a loosely held term and it's held up to no scrutiny. So people can come in and give terrible advice and call it biohacking. And Dr. K talks about this. She said she was in a panel and all these biohackers were just giving just abhorrent advice that was not based in any science. So yeah, the idea of like true biohacking, like just trying to do the good things that are backed in science that actually have shown to improve longevity, sure, that's not a bad thing. Like, why would I want less quality and less time here on the earth? So if you can do the good things, that's great. So my favorite hack, the simple stuff: movement, nutrition, sleep, and then asana. Again, talking about those benefits, it's so rigorously tested and shown that the sauna does improve your health and longevity. So just getting a sauna is huge. How do you think mindset plays a role in aging well? Yeah, for sure. Who wants to go through life depressed or sad or stressed or always, like, oh, there's something else I want to do or I need to do. I'm always like, you're in that state. I think being able to have a good quality mindset and be able to have the ability to look at the world like it's not happening to you, it's just there and you're there to experience it, has been something that I've been trying to do with meditation. And the science shows that relationships and community all are just as important as all these biohacks, if not more, probably more so. Like, community is so vital and friendships are so vital to the quality of your life and to the quantity. And I think that plays into mindset as well. So prioritize that like you would prioritize anything else. It's so important. Your mind is with you 24/7. And so you would want it to be your best friend. You'd want that voice that's in there that, says the negative things. That's always, on that edge of, it's telling you, you need to do more, at least for me, or you need to do this better. Like, just trying to get a handle on that and trying to make it your friend is huge. I started listening to podcasts back in early 2016. And since then, I've listened to a lot of episodes and I've covered a lot of ground. And I always get asked, hey, what's your favorite show? What's your favorite episode? So I made a list. I made a list of the 10 most impactful episodes I've listened to over the 9+ years, and it's completely for free. You can find that in the description of this episode or on my Instagram in my bio. And I hope you find those episodes as enjoyable and impactful as I did, because they are in part a huge reason why you guys are listening to me right now. Thank you very much. Now back to the show. What is your goal for the Ironman? Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, having a lot of fun because there is no real goal for the Ironman. I don't think I'm going to be like a phenomenal Ironman athlete coming from, a anaerobic speed background, and it's just such an aerobic sport. I'm just there to have fun. I'm just there to, enjoy the swim, the bike, the run, and just race my siblings. Ideally, I want to beat all my siblings, and I think Davis is going to be Davis is fit. Davis is fast. She's a phenomenal runner. She's a great swimmer. She always was. So hopefully I can really push and take an advantage on the bike. That's going to kind of be my only hope. We'll probably get off the swim at the same time. Hopefully I can pull ahead on the bike. So much so that she can't just run me down on the run. So we will have to see, but I'm just there to have fun time, hang out with the siblings, hang out with the family, hang out with everybody that's coming, all the friends, and just throw down. It'll be a blast. What are you going to train for after this Ironman? Well, me and my sisters were talking yesterday about a potential ultra marathon. So I'm 100% down for that. I think an ultra marathon would be quite a bit easier than an actual marathon because, again, intensity breeds a certain degree of difficulty. So if you do an ultra marathon, you can kind of tone down the total pace and maybe just mentally tough grit, just keep moving, and you don't have to bring that speed to it. So I'd much rather do an ultra marathon than an actual marathon. What is the most powerful mental strategy you've ever learned for overcoming performance anxiety in sports or high pressure situations? Hmm. Um, Yeah. So back when I was like competing in CrossFit, I definitely had a lot of stress and anxiety in competition, and it was completely unfounded, and it was just based on the results. Like I thought everybody expected me to do so well. Like people put in time training with me, coaching with me, um, doing so much. And like, I was just like, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to let them down. I don't want to let them down. And it wasn't really it wasn't really about me so much, but it was about what I perceived they expected from me. So just having the ability to look at those emotions and acknowledge that they're there, but also acknowledge that they're not true. Cause you're not going to be able to say like, no, I don't want to feel that. And then it goes away. But the ability to acknowledge that they're there, acknowledge that, they come from a basis of untruth. Like they're not an actual thing. They're just something that you're worried about, and it's not really rational. And being able to just talk yourself through that and have that conversation with yourself is huge, because those thoughts come and go, and you have to be able to have trust in your actual relationships that they're not true. Like your sport is not who you are. What you're doing is not who you are. It's just the thing that you're doing at that time, and it doesn't really matter. And just having that conversation with yourself, it's not going to make the feelings go away, but that's okay. Like you can still perform, you can still have a successful event with those feelings, but you can recognize that they're also not true and not in a place of validity. Um, Drinking a lot of water. I don't know how people come on my podcast and talk as much as they do. I get absolutely like my throat dries out so quick. Okay. Um, what is your favorite part of podcasting? Yeah, definitely my favorite part is just talking to people particularly in fields that I'm interested in. I mean, that's the whole point I started this podcast. It's like I just want to talk to people who knew more than me, who are doing cool things that I was interested in, and getting to know a little bit about them and about the topic that they specialize in. So that's been huge. I met some awesome people, talked to some really, really great people, learned a ton, and I can't wait to keep doing it. So that's definitely been my favorite part. What inspired you to start your podcast, and how has it evolved since the first episode? Yeah, it's definitely improved since the first episode. I've improved. I've still got a way to go. The production quality has definitely improved as well. But what inspired it, excuse me, is I probably started listening to podcasts in like 2015, 2016. Tim Ferriss, Joe Rogan, Rich Roll, all these podcasts I've listened to for a while, and I've gotten so much value and so much information from them that I've always wanted to be in a position to help provide that value to others and to talk to these people, because sometimes they don't ask the questions that you want. You're like, oh, I hope they ask this question, and then they don't. Like they ask phenomenal questions, but I want to be in the driver's seat and ask the questions that I want to ask, because I've got questions. And so that's really what inspired this, is just the ability to talk and learn from people who are experts in their area or who know more than me or are doing something interesting, and then being able to control the questions and ask and get all the information that I actually want to have. What is the most important lesson you've learned from starting and running your podcast? Don't overthink it. Don't let where you want to go stop you from starting. If you look at these huge podcasts like, Chris Williamson's Modern Wisdom, Tim Ferriss, Rich Roll, Joe Rogan, Diary of a CEO, Founders, all these great podcasts, they're so good at what they do, and they've been doing it for such a long time, and it's so cinematic, and its production value is so huge, and they have so many listeners. And then you're like, well, I'm just in my bedroom with, my phone and a microphone. How can I compete? And it leads you to never even starting. And so just ask yourself, what would it look like if it was easy, and what would it look like if it was fun? For me, if it was easy, all I'd need to do is, record some sound and have a guest to talk to. So that's what I focused on. And then what would it be if it was fun to talk to guests that I wanted to talk to? And so that was just the two key points of my thing: is make it as easy as possible and make it as fun as possible, and then try and just build on that, get a little bit more, get a little bit better. So don't let the grand picture, the grand goal actually stop you from getting there. Because just thinking about it and just being like, oh, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, it kind of gives you a dopamine hit, and you never actually have to start, because you get that dopamine hit just thinking about it, or even just talking about it. Like if I was to talk to my wife and be like, oh, I want to start this podcast and this is how I want it to be. And you kind of start to get that hit like, oh yeah. We're making moves. I'm thinking about it. I'm in the planning process, and then nothing ever happens. So just start, make it simple, and then iterate and build on top of that. We are going to be moving here in the next probably like 2 months. Our lease is up. And so I'm really looking forward to, finding an apartment and choosing an apartment that has, a good layout for the podcast, having that second room really kind of be set up for that and kind of build out and set up the studio space, and just starting to make those continual small little improvements so that it just gets a little bit better each time. What is the most important lesson I just did that one. No. Yes, I did. How do you manage the balance between creative freedom and the business side of running a podcast? Well, there's no real business side yet. This definitely doesn't make me any money. So it is all just creative. And what I kind of like about the podcast is the creative aspect of it comes from your ability to communicate and your ability to ask questions and your ability to, create these. It's really just finding the way to pull out the best parts of your guest. And because sometimes people come on and they feel uncomfortable and they feel guarded and they don't really, you don't have that relationship. And so just trying to pull them out and make them comfortable and make them happy and make them have fun and see the joy that I'm not here to, get them or do anything like that. What I want from the conversation is I just want them to shine. I want them to be able to spread the information that they have and just talk and show their personality and have fun. And so that's kind of where I've been putting a lot of my effort and time. When I re-listen to my podcast, I like, oh, you could have worded that better. You could have done this better, or you needed to make the guest feel a little bit more comfortable. And so it's a lot of improvement in my ability to communicate and articulate and just make my guests feel comfortable, which has been fun. Okay. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? Yeah, don't care what other people think. I definitely, it's something I have suffered from in the past, and I still do suffer from. I definitely care what people think, but I care what like the people closest to me think, which is not necessarily bad. Like I want to maintain their respect, but also I do find that it maybe limits me to some regard. Like maybe I would do things a little bit differently if I didn't actually care what, these people thought of me, or I could do something a little bit, I could, you want to develop that freedom and actually just be who you are, but being who you are does require some degree of experimentation and going through phases and just actually finding yourself. And so just don't care what people think. Go do what you want to do, hang out with people you want to hang out, enjoy and pursue what you want to enjoy. What is your personal definition of discipline, and how do you cultivate it daily? I think discipline is doing what you say you're going to do or think you're going to do. It's super easy to be like, I'm going to run every day, or I'm going to stop doing this, or I'm going to start doing that. And then you go for 3 days and then you miss a day and then you fall apart. I'm guilty of it. It's one of the things that I think about all the time is like, am I somebody that follows through? Am I somebody that does what I say I'm going to do? And so I think discipline doing what you say you're going to do is just vital. And the way you cultivate that is by doing what you're saying you're going to do. So start easy. You need to build that trust with yourself. You need to be able to have the self-respect and know that you actually are going to do what you say you're going to do. And that comes from experiences, cultivating a database of actually doing it. And so you need to start small. You need to start easy and just build that trust over time, because eventually, if you are consistent, if you do what you say you're going to do, you can then start saying harder stuff, and you're going to do it because you have that background, you have that evidence of you doing all the stuff that you said you were going to do. So don't just come out swinging. If you have a background of not following through, start easy. Don't make it so grandiose. Don't make it so difficult. Make it simple, make it achievable, and over time you will build that respect. How do you stay consistent with your goals when life gets chaotic? I touched on this a little bit earlier, but time management, like putting the most important thing first, really just controlling and prioritizing my morning before I head off to work, before things get hectic, because I know that life gets in the way. So just get that time management down and you'll be able to get a lot more done. Let's see. Reading through the questions. What's one book, quote, or idea that has profoundly shaped your mindset? One book, quote, or idea. Lately, again, I've been thinking a lot about how ambition with no goal leads to anxiety. Ambition with a goal leads to purpose. A lot of if you're an ambitious person but you don't know where to put that, it leads to anxiety. You always feel like you're not doing enough. And so really just kind of focus and channel that ambition into something, into a goal, gives you that purpose. Because then when you're like, oh, I'm not feeling enough, you can do something that moves you towards that goal. So for example, if I feel like, if I'm feeling anxious, if I'm not feeling like I'm doing enough, I can work on my podcast, improving the podcast. And a simple way for me to do that is just DM and reach out and find guests. Like I can do that with my phone. I can do that on Instagram. I can do that anywhere. So if I'm ever feeling anxious, I whip out the phone and I start looking for guests for the podcast, because that makes me feel less anxious because I'm working towards the goal. Would you ever think about doing a powerlifting competition? I've done one in the past. I did one in high school. That was fun. Me and a couple of the buddies, we did it. But I don't want to train for those three movements specifically: bench press, squat, deadlift. I don't really see myself probably ever doing one of those, specifically bench. I don't want to train for the bench. I don't care about the bench. My shoulder and my collarbone are still kind of, messed up from high school football. And so there's just a lot of work that would have to go into that. So I probably wouldn't ever do a powerlifting competition. I would probably be more likely to do an Olympic lifting competition, because that's kind of fun. But again, shoulders messed up, so I probably couldn't snatch unless I went and got that fixed. What is your calorie and macro intake while Ironman training? I am in a caloric deficit, trying to lean out a little bit. So it's about 3,000, 3,100, little less than 3,100. And I'm doing about 235 grams of protein, trying to maintain some muscle, and I'm doing higher fat. Again, it's all in the app, the Macro Factor app that I use. But I think it's like around 135, 140 grams of fat. So definitely higher up there in the fat, and then lower in the carbs, around 200 or something like that. And then I'll raise or lower the fat and raise the carbs, depending on if I'm doing like a blog session that day and I'm slowly just bringing the fat down and bumping the carbs up. So I'm ready for the Ironman as well. But yeah, right around 3,100. Definitely probably not enough. I need to start bumping that up because I'm starting to get battered and bruised and sore. So I'll probably go to a maintenance for a little bit and then maybe cut after the Ironman. How many kids do you want and what names? I want 3 kids. The reason I want 3 kids is because I want to be able to populate a 4-person board game regardless of friends or other people, and we could do it with 2 if Maddie was there, but Maddie's gonna be a doctor, she's gonna be busy, so I want 3 kids that I can wrangle into playing a game of Twilight Imperium if I need them to. Names, Maddie's got some names picked out. I don't know if I'm allowed to publicly share them, so I'm not going to. Also, I may not remember them all, but 3 kids would be ideal. I think Maddie only wants 2, but we'll see. Definitely still a little bit of ways away from having the kids. Okay. What are your goals on the next few months with the podcast? Just to continue to improve. I'm really at the stage where I'm focusing on myself. I'm listening to each episode and trying to improve myself as a guest and as a host. Because when I listen back to them, I cringe. I got a lot of work to do, and I want to improve that. Where do you see your podcast in 5 years, and what is your dream guest lineup? I would love the podcast to be, in 5 years time, I would love the podcast to be big enough where I can fly in guests and have an in-person studio, and I'll only do my guests in person. So I fly them in, take a day, take them out to dinner, and then that day we do the recording in person. That would be my ideal dream. That's what I want. And then of course for the podcast to be able to be my source of income and provide for the family as well. And dream guest lineup. That's tough. Who are some people that I'd really like to talk to? Probably, and this is in no particular order, it's just kind of popping up, but I would like to talk to Chris Williamson. He hosts the Modern Wisdom podcast. I would like to talk to David Goggins. I'd like to talk to Jocko. I would like to talk to Joe Rogan probably as well. He's just he's a fun guy. I love listening to his podcast with just his comedian friends, like when he has a group of friends on, because the friends are so funny. Like his comedian lineup, like he's a professional comedian. He's not my type of humor as much. So like I've watched one of his specials, but when he brings on his friends, I just crack up and I start dying. Or when he brings on Duncan Trussell, I think is his name. I don't think is Duncan a comedian. I don't even know, but that dude is just, his voice is so funny, and it just has me cracking up whenever they're on together. So probably Joe Rogan. I don't know. Just a lot of people I would love to talk to. So we'll see. I'm sure it'll develop as I'm doing this. Couple last few questions. What is the hardest part about hosting a podcast, and how do you overcome it? Hardest part is definitely getting started. Definitely listening to yourself. If you go back and listen to yourself, because you want to compare yourself to all these phenomenal people who have guests or who've had podcasts for years, and you don't live up. That doesn't mean you can't. But it's a learned skill. Communication is a learned skill. Podcast hosting is a learned skill. And so just having a little bit of grace and having the ability to improve. And that just comes from, again, not caring what other people think and looking at it from a growth mindset. Like, hey, this is just for fun. Like, sure, you have goals and you have ambition, but I'd be doing this even if I didn't get paid, which I don't. And I would do this if I didn't get paid down the line. So it's just fun. Just get started. How do you choose guests who bring unique perspectives to topics like health, mindset, or business? I choose guests based on simply if I'm interested in what they do or what they would have to say. So I've looked at things where I'd be like, oh, they would probably be able to pull in some listeners if I got them on, but I'm not really interested in what they do. I don't really care. And so I'm just being super picky with that because I just want to talk to people. Like, I don't want to waste my time getting them on and talking to them if I don't really care. I don't want to waste the guest time. I think that's super disrespectful and super rude. So I want to actually be very interested and care about what they have to say. And then finally, I also don't want to waste the listener's time. Like, I don't, if you're coming on to listen to me, I know your time is very valuable. And that's the last thing I would want is for you to waste your time here. So, and I know if I wasn't very engaged or interested in the topic, I would be less likely to provide a quality experience, a quality listening experience. So, really, just caring about the topic is really the only criteria for coming on. Okay. All right. That was all the questions that I'm going to go through. I missed some, but hey, again, talking this long straight through is extremely difficult on the throat. So I've just been pounding some water. But I just want to reiterate again how grateful I am for people who consistently tune in or who've only even listened to one episode. You guys are phenomenal. And this is just so much fun for me. So again, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to reach out. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you can just comment right there and I'll see it. If you're listening to this on YouTube, again, you can comment. Apple doesn't have any commenting system, so you can just DM me on Instagram or shoot me an email, whatever that is. I'd love to get in touch if you have any comments. And again, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Chase Merrill podcast.